Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Chill Out podcast. So, how crazy is it that it's November already? Like, the year is literally almost over. It's so crazy how fast this year is actually gone. Like, I literally say this every single year, but oh my gosh, it's crazy. This year, I've literally tried to be a bit more social and get more out of my comfort zone, and I'm so proud of myself for doing that because for so long, I was like, I don't know, like I've gone through different eras, if that makes any sense. Like I've tried to be more of like a homebody. I've had my days when I would go out all the time. And now like I'm just trying to get back into that rhythm again of like being social and doing things and not being so like afraid to like have fun and get out of my own comfort zone. Okay. But you know that moment when you realize that you've been on autopilot for way too long and you've been saying yes to everyone and like showing up for everything and doing all of the right things, and then suddenly it hits you. You're like, wait, when did I actually stop doing things for myself because I felt like doing something? And that's kind of where I've been lately. I think that it happens sort of quietly, like you get caught up in trying to hold everything together, like you're trying to be this perfect good person all of the time, and before you know it, you've completely lost track of how you actually feel. And it's weird because nothing's necessarily wrong, but you just feel off and disconnected and overstimulated and kind of like you're living life from outside your body. And that is what has inspired this episode. So I went to a party last night, and you know what? I had a good time, but I also was feeling super awkward in a way. Do not know why. Maybe it's because I didn't really drink. But look, I can still go out and have a fun time even when I'm sober. But the thing is, I just felt like really exhausted from like the whole week and then just trying to be social. And I just felt like my social battery was like not at its peak. And I just honestly just wanted to go home and like lay on the couch. But I just went and I tried it and I had a great time. And I just sort of like came home and I was like, I actually just really need to chill right now. Like I just need to go shower. I'm going to put a face mask on. I'm going to get my blanket and like get cozy on the couch and watch something really good because I just need some time for myself. Like I need a moment. And I feel like when you get into that headspace where you feel like you haven't really been checking in with yourself enough, I just feel like it's not really about isolating yourself or like going full hermit mode. It's not a cut everyone off and move to the mountains type of thing. It's more about like coming back to yourself gently and slowing down enough and how to like start prioritizing yourself again without feeling super guilty for it. So grab your coffee or your green juice if you're in your wellness era, and let's talk about what it actually means to focus on yourself without disappearing from the world. So I've really been enjoying like going out, and like I went to a festival and I've been going to parties and I've been going out and doing things. Okay, I'm so happy about that and I always have a great time and it's fun. And I'm so glad that I'm finally getting out of my comfort zone again and being more social because I do enjoy being around people and meeting people and having fun and having loud music in my ears, okay? It's a vibe, honestly. But I just sort of felt after this week like, oh my gosh, I haven't checked in with myself in a while. And I feel mentally exhausted. I feel like my social battery is just declining at a rapid pace. And I almost feel like I'm in that mood where I just want to like delete all of my social media and completely go off the grid or something and just like be in my own world for a second, because sometimes it does get really overwhelming when you constantly just want to be on all the time and you're just trying to be like this perfect person and you just sort of feel exhausted. You know, when life like slowly rearranges itself around everyone else's needs and you don't even notice it until one morning. It's never like a single dramatic event. It's like 1,000 tiny nudges. A last minute favor for a friend, or staying one more late night out, okay? Saying sure to a collab with someone because it looks good on paper, or answering DMs at midnight so you don't feel rude, or, you know, those types of things just stack. And I'm also someone that if someone messages me, I don't know why I'm like this, okay? This is exactly why I've muted a majority of my chats on my WhatsApp, because I'm literally so bad at not responding. Like I know a lot of people are like, yeah, like I just like put my phone down and I don't really care if like people message me, like I'll just get back to them. I'm like, no, if I see a notification or someone's like messaging me asking me a question, I try and respond immediately. I honestly do not know why I'm like this. Maybe my brain is like literally nudging me and like annoying me to the point where I'm just like, respond, okay? Because it's going to be at the back of your mind. So just get it over with. So those types of things eventually like pile on, and I feel like sometimes you just need a bit of a break. And sort of when you wake up one day and you realize that you haven't had one slow morning in weeks, you haven't been to the beach in a few days, and your calendar just looks full, your time is completely blocked out, your head feels super buzzy and busy and crazy, and when you try to remember the last time you did something that just felt like you, your brain, it's not braining, okay? It's not picking up anything that you've done for yourself in a while. And that's that too much moment. It's not necessarily the screaming burnout that you imagine. Often it's softer and subtle and emotional burnout where you feel numb or you feel oversensitive, or social burnout where every invite starts sounding like an obligation, or even like a creative burnout when your ideas feel so stale and even scrolling feels like a chore, and like you're on Instagram and nothing is vibing with you, okay? You're not getting any inspiration. These aren't like flashpoints, they are erosion. They eat away at that margin of your life until the person that you recognize in the mirror is literally someone that is just so good at just trying to be perfect all of the time and trying to make everyone else happy. I remember like a few weeks back where my phone was basically a tiny tyrant. I said yes to basically everything, and you know, each one felt small and justifiable in the moment, you know, like helpful and exciting. But I woke up on Sunday and I honestly could not find a single part of my morning that was mine. I had no slow coffee ritual, no unreadable book on the couch, no walk where I wasn't mentally ticking off mental to-do lists. I literally sat on my balcony and cried into my matcha because even my nervous system felt exhausted. You know, just crying and having that little breakdown. It's like so dramatic, honestly, but it was an overdue exhale, honestly. I decided to journal that morning and I was like, I need to get this out of my brain. I need to feel good. I need to release this so that I can restart, reset, and all of that. Part of the problem is that, you know, modern life rewards being endlessly available. Doing everything looks like success on your social media feeds and in conversations, and that pressure is very heavy for a lot of people. From a young age, I feel like we are taught to be adaptable, to make space for others, to be nice, and those are good things until they become the default at the cost of our own needs. Saying no sort of feels like taboo, or worse, super selfish. So instead of protecting our energy, we keep giving it away, and slowly our own internal bank dries out. And I think that this is so relatable because, like I said, at a young age, we get taught to be this perfect type of person, right? The person that always says yes, is always willing to help others, is always super nice. And those are all great things to be. But if it's coming constantly at the cost of you, it's time to kind of like take inventory of that and try and set some boundaries. The line between being productive and being depleted is very blurry. You can hustle and build while still caring for yourself. But, you know, hustle culture has taught us that rest equals failure, right? So when you finally feel the edge of burnout, your first instinct might be to push harder, to prove that you're not this weak person. And I feel like that's like the worst thing to do ever because it trains your brain to equate worth with output rather than with presence. Start looking for those micro signals. You're like choosing naps and numbness over plans that you used to love. You feel guilty for saying no, but resentful when you do say yes. Your creativity feels brittle. Your patience is gone by 3 p.m. Social interactions sort of leave you wiped out. And small things like a forgotten coffee ritual or a playlist that you don't finish or a book that's gathering dust on your nightstand are all clues, okay? They are your body whispering, slow down. So what does focusing on yourself look like practically? It doesn't need to be dramatic. Start with permission. So a permission to cancel one thing this week. Permission to put your phone down an hour earlier before bed. Permission to take your lunch outside without multitasking. Tiny intentional withdrawals from that noise bank over time replenishes the balance. And I know balance is such a tricky thing to even try and comprehend, especially in today's world or in life in general, because, you know, do we really always have balance? Honestly, do we? Because like, I know for me personally, I'm either on one side or the other side, okay? I constantly am trying to find some balance in my life, but at the same time, I'm sort of just adapting to whatever. It's definitely a struggle that I think a lot of us deal with, but it is important to try and find some sort of balance in your life. Otherwise, you are constantly going to be overextending yourself, or you're going to be in a place where you feel super demotivated because you aren't willing to push yourself. So you kind of have to figure that out for you. I know for me personally, like journaling, oh my gosh, it's such a game changer. And that's something that sounds like so overly said all the time, but journal prompts help a lot, okay? Asking yourself, what did I enjoy this week? What felt like it took more than it gave, okay? Who asks the most of me, and do they need to? These questions aren't selfish, they are clarifying. It's so important to be self-aware in life because you need to be able to call yourself out if you're making mistakes or doing something that you shouldn't be doing, because it's going to help you to be a better person, and it's going to help you to grow. So asking yourself those types of questions and being really specific and intentional about it helps you to clarify certain things in your life, because that's going to help you to make better decisions in the end. And if you're thinking, I can't just stop doing all the things, you don't have to. Reclaiming yourself without ghosting your entire life. You can still show up for the people and the things that you care about most, but in a way that also includes you. Like, set one tiny boundary this week. Honor one small ritual that you really enjoy and that actually makes you happy. Let yourself be the person you make space for. So the question is, how do you actually come back to yourself without ghosting your life completely? Comparison kills clarity. It's simple and brutal. We scroll for like 5 minutes and come away feeling everyone else has a highlight reel that we were never invited to. We measure our messy, real, behind the scenes lives against someone else's carefully curated morning, and then act surprised when we feel anxious or small or feel like we're failing and just not doing enough. And I'll be honest, I catch myself in this trap all the time. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'll open Instagram just to take a look, and 15 minutes later, I'm like, why does everyone look like they've got it all figured out? There's always someone with like a cleaner apartment, a better tan, a brand deal that I want, a morning routine that I don't have. It's exhausting, and it's designed to make you look sideways at your own life. And it's so relatable on so many levels. Oh my gosh, because this is exactly why I decided to take a break from Instagram for literally almost 2 months this year, because I needed to get out of that headspace. It's not like you don't want to be happy for people, because I generally am. Like, I love seeing people win. Like, I am looking at people's feeds and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But on the other side of that, I'm making myself feel terrible. I'm literally looking at myself and I'm like, Kelly, you're clearly not doing enough. Like, you are failing at life. You are not good enough. And that is the type of negative thought patterns that constantly run in my mind. And that's why I've had to take a break from social media for a while, because it's not fun living life like that. Like, do I actually like something? Or is it subconsciously like telling me that I like it because I'm constantly seeing it on my phone? So it's stuff like that that allows you to kind of get stuck in that comparison trap. And that type of stuff holds you back. Also, the thing is, like, those feeds are highlight reels. I also post pictures that I feel are, good enough to be posted. Yes, sometimes I like posting like unedited. Actually, all of my pictures are unedited. But you know what I mean? Like, not like this like crazy photoshopped image of myself, but you are intentionally putting things out there that, you feel really confident in or good about. So it is sort of a highlight reel. So everyone is doing it, okay? There are moments that are picked and polished and posted. They are never the full story, okay? No one posts about their failures. Yet, because they're constant and glossy, we start using them as our mental scoreboard. And that's the dangerous part, because comparison becomes our metric for success instead of our own internal compass. And when you let other people's timelines decide your worth, your clarity evaporates and you start thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm actually not that great of a person. Like, I'm clearly not doing that much in life. So what do we actually do about it so that you don't have to completely ghost life and delete all of your social media apps, especially if you use it for business purposes, because you don't want to do that, right? So first of all, make your feed work for you, not against you. And this is practical. If a person, account, or cycle of content triggers that like terrible sinking feeling, mute it for a while. You can mute stories and mute posts and unfollow, or even take a social media break for a little bit. Curating your mental environment. So think of it like choosing who you sit next to in a cafe. Pick people who encourage you, not people who make you feel invisible and not good enough. The second thing is, start a tiny ritual of documenting your wins. At the end of the day, Write down 3 real things that you did that actually mattered. Maybe you emailed that client or showed up to a workout class or called your parents. These small wins are the bricks that build any real life change, and writing them down trains your brain to notice progress that isn't measured by likes. The third thing is change your language. Replace "I'm behind" with "I'm exactly where I need to be right now." And I know it sounds cheesy, but honestly, try it. I'm not even kidding. The words that you use, especially when you speak to yourself, matters. When you use words like "behind," for example, it implies that there's a race that someone else has set for you. "Exactly where I need to be" puts the timeline back into your own hands. Use it as like a little mantra when you find yourself comparing. The fourth thing is create comparison boundaries, okay? Actionable, realistic rules that you can follow. For example, no social media during your first hour of the day. Or you could even try something like a 90-minute scroll cleanse, okay? Once a week, where you sort of like sit down and unfollow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. These small rules create space for your own voice to actually be heard, and you're able to sort of curate this social environment for yourself on your phone and on your social media where you are only getting things that you actually want to see. I also want to give you like a really quick exercise that you can do right now while you are listening. Grab a notebook right now. Okay, if you're obviously driving, try this at home or something, but literally grab a notebook on your phone and write this down. One thing I've been avoiding because I care about how it'll look. Then underline it. Now ask, if no one was watching, would I still do it? Okay, and be brutally honest with yourself. If you would, plan one tiny step and schedule it. If you wouldn't, that's okay too. You've just learned something about what actually matters to you. Here's like a really personal moment, okay? I once delayed actually promoting or talking about my podcast because I was worried that it wouldn't sound super polished and amazing next to like someone else's podcast, for example, because theirs was like way bigger, more cooler and all of that. But when I actually just like put myself out there and started talking about it and letting people know like, hey, I have a podcast, I talk about this, or like posting it on my social media, I just realized that I met people who liked that type of honesty more than any polished type of stuff. And also like there's been multiple times when I've literally been like, why am I even doing this? Honestly, like I'm not getting like 1 million views or something like that. But then when I look at my metrics after episodes, I'm like, look, I don't have like millions of people listening, but I have a really decent amount. And those people are literally tuning in literally every week listening. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, cool. It doesn't need to be this huge, amazing metric, okay? But there clearly are people that are interested in it. So I'm going to keep doing it and I'm not going to care. And it's those types of things that you need to really just get out of your head for a second, you know what? And just like do the things that you want to do. The lesson that I learned from that whole experience was super clear to me, okay? Waiting to look perfect is just another form of hiding and stopping yourself from doing the things that you actually want to do. And in the end, the only person that you are hurting is yourself. And that whole experience definitely changed my entire perspective, because now I sort of approach life in a way where I'm not trying to make everything perfect. I'll obviously do the necessary planning and research that I need to do for certain things, but I'm just going to try anyways. And you have to be willing to look stupid and crazy and delusional when you are wanting to achieve something, because not everyone is going to see your vision. That is why you need to be really real with yourself sometimes, and also be willing to look stupid and fail. When you stop tracking everyone else's timeline, you actually start hearing your own voice again. Your decisions become quieter and more intentional. You stop performing for an invisible crowd and start living for yourself. So definitely take a moment today and ask yourself, what is one thing that you've been avoiding doing for you because you're scared of how it'll look, or how it would like compare to other people? Because knowing what you want is one thing, keeping the energy for it is another. So the next thing that I really want to discuss is taking inventory of your energy. So who and what is spending your attention? Let's get like a little practical, okay? Your energy is your currency. It's finite, and the way that you spend it really matters. Like if you treat your attention like an unlimited resource, you will wake up surprised one day with an empty balance and no idea how it happened. So what if we started thinking about people and projects and habits as transactions and deposits and withdrawals in some sort of like energy bank? The small daily withdrawals, they add up. So I used to think that exhaustion meant that I was tired physically and needed more sleep, okay? Sometimes yes, but more often it was a signal that my energy had been spent on things that just weren't aligned with what I actually needed. Boundaries are the simplest, least sexy tool that we have for protecting that energy. How many times do you, like, for example, meet someone new for the first time, or it's like something romantic, and you start setting boundaries immediately? That's like not sexy at all. Like, people are like, oh, this girl is not chill at all. She constantly has demands. She's too much. The thing is, you know what? You aren't too much. They're not about building walls or like being cruel or something like that. They're about choosing where to invest in yourself. Think of boundaries as like a filter. They let in what's actually nourishing you and they keep out what's draining you. And saying no is not an act of rejection. It's an act of allocation, if you look at it that way. It's you basically deciding what deserves your time and your energy. And I'll be honest, learning to say no has always been messy for me. For a long time, I equated helpfulness with worth. If I said yes, I feel like I was proving myself. But the cost was always high. Like, I showed up depleted for the things that I actually wanted to do. I think that personally, like, it's always been very hard to like just say no in general, because I've always been like a people pleaser, and over time I've like really gotten over that, thank goodness. But it was a thing that I really had to recognize and sort of work on ways to like not be like that, because what happens is you keep trying to make everyone else happy, and in the end, all you're doing is just giving away all of your energy and your time. And then when you try and check in with yourself, you are so depleted. You have no time for yourself and what you actually want to be doing. And also, if you look at those people that you've like trying to help and be there for, they're not giving you the same energy back. So what is the point? Another really useful exercise that you can kind of use to like differentiate how you're actually feeling is this 5-minute hack. When you notice that you're wiped out, literally stop and ask 3 quick questions. Number 1 is, am I physically tired? So sleep, food, hydration. Number 2 is, was my energy recently spent on someone else's emergency? Number 3 is this something that I can delegate, delay, or decline? This separates actual fatigue from borrowed stress or preventable depletion. And let's also be honest about guilt, okay? It's a sneaky little thing that we often feel. It's not about being selfish. If you think about it, when you are able to take care of your own energy, it's the most sustainable way to actually care for other people. You cannot pour from an empty cup, okay? Saying no means that you'll have more to give later and in better ways. And that's a really big motivator for me, because I just think that if I'm able to help myself to be in a better headspace and be better, do better, and all of that, I'm able to give all of that goodness to somebody else. So next time that you feel really drained, write down who or what took that energy, and then this way you will be able to start noticing patterns. And then from there, you can choose one micro boundary to try this week, whether it's like muting an account or saying no to a plan, or like putting your phone away at dinner. These small experiments lead to bigger life changes. When you've been in survival mode for a while, you stop feeling like yourself, and joy and happiness becomes this distant memory. And it's not practical, and it's really exhausting. And surviving is just a way that you kind of like stop yourself from actually enjoying those like beautiful moments in life. And the thing is, how do you get those sparks back? Not with pressure or performance, but with those tiny intentional actions that reconnect you to the parts of you that feel alive before any obligations or expectations took over. And the key idea here is just like reconnection through action. You don't wait for inspiration to come knocking. You do one small thing that reminds your body and your brain what it's like to feel alive again. So like, ask yourself, what did I do that I used to really enjoy that made me forget time and really be in the moment? For me, it's always been music and art and tennis. And I was actually watching this TV show and these people were playing tennis. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to join a tennis club again. Because I remember back then, like when I was younger, I was really good at tennis and I really enjoyed it. I sort of played it without the rules, but hey, it was still a vibe. I love that sport so much. It's just so fun, and you're able to like be active and work out, but you're having a really great time. And for me, that is honestly chef's kiss, amazing. So I'm really considering going back and joining a tennis club. But anyways, back to normal schedule programming. Those are the things that I remember that actually brought me some joy. So it's just about like reconnecting to those beautiful things that make you feel like, hey, I'm actually vibing with this right now and I feel really good and I'm having a great time. I think it's sort of really easy to forget about those things that you really used to enjoy. And it happens, you know, life gets loud with jobs and responsibilities and obligations and all of that. And then slowly over time, you just stop doing the things that actually bring you joy. So before we end off, I really want to share 3 tiny, super low pressure ways to reconnect and things that you can actually do today. So definitely try them. Let me know what you think. But the first thing is the 5-minute joy test. So set a timer for 5 minutes and do something that you used to enjoy. Okay, no rules, no outcomes, whether it's like dancing in your living room or drawing something that's really terrible, or going to play tennis for the afternoon, or reading a random chapter of one of your favorite books that you haven't read in a really long time. If 5 minutes feels doable, do 10. The point isn't to master something, it's to remind yourself of that pleasure and that joy that you felt by doing it. The second thing is the micro project. So pick something small that can be completed in a single session. So rearrange one shelf, write one page, cook one recipe that you saw on TikTok. Completing something tiny repairs that confidence and reminds you that you can start and finish things that belong to you. The third thing is the sensory shortcut. Sensation triggers memory. So put on a playlist that used to make you feel something. Wear some sunscreen if you're really vibing and you want to think about a beautiful day at the beach or something. Make a cup of something that smells like home to you. These sensory nudges reopen pathways to joy really quickly. Boundaries are really, really important because I feel like you can't rebuild your inner life on someone else's schedule. You need to be able to take the initiative and carve small, tiny blocks in your calendar labeled "Do Me," even 20 minutes, once or twice a week. Treat them with the same respect that you'd give a dentist appointment. The more that you protect that time for yourself, the more that your nervous system learns that your wants also matter. And please be kind to yourself, guys, when you do start. The first attempt might feel awkward or like underwhelming. You might start painting and remember that you don't actually love painting anymore, and that's fine. The exercise was never about like forcing a hobby to stick or something. It was about curiosity and permission. You tried, and that's brave and that's awesome. But now you can move forward knowing that you tried it. Taking the time for yourself and trying to reconnect with the things that you really enjoy in life isn't about going back to your younger self. It's about meeting the person that you are now, giving that person small joys, and teaching that person that it's safe to actually want them. And it's safe to get out of your comfort zone and do things that feel scary. Even if it's something random like dancing to a song that you used to really love in your kitchen, do it, okay? Focusing on yourself isn't about being perfect or productive. It's about being real, and it's giving yourself permission to really slow down and check in and realize that you are still becoming. You're still on a journey. It's the process. Enjoy it. Vibe with it. When you start treating yourself like someone worth prioritizing, everything else starts aligning quietly in your favor. Trust me. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. As always, I love hanging out with you. I hope this episode reminded you that you can focus on yourself without disappearing from the world, and that you are allowed to rest and reset and still show up for yourself in life, just in a way that feels more like you, like still giving yourself and being there for people that you love, but also taking the time to check in and ask yourself, hey, how am I feeling today? If I'm not feeling that great, what am I going to do to get myself out of it? If I'm feeling amazing, I'm going to go along with it and enjoy it. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Chill Out with Kelly Ward wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also find more of my thoughts on my blog. I have inserted the link in the description. And also check me out on YouTube too. I post weekly blogs. So y'all, take care of yourself. Take things slow sometimes. I love you. Bye.